care for us and care about us hurt when we hurt. You know, if somebody you know, somebody you love hurts, you hurt for them, you hurt with them. It's just a natural thing. It's a human condition. There's nothing wrong with that, per se. But when somebody's suffering from PTSD, the family, the knock-on effect is huge. Taking this vein through the night, and I'll be finishing at midnight tonight. This will be a 3-hour session. But taking this vein, later on I will play an interview we recorded a couple of 3 weeks ago with a Facebook group called The Ripple Pond. And this is one of the pages set up to support family members of combat PTSD. Oh, well, no, not just combat PTSD, but PTSD sufferers. Predominantly combat PTSD, but I think they'll help anybody because they're all in the same boat. They're all going through the same sort of knock-on crap. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to be doing a little later. Now, you've heard me talk. I'll say good evening, Paul. Oh, good evening, Lee. You're in. Let's have a butchers. What have you got to say for yourself, mate? Lee in from Essex. Good evening, sir. Mate, we didn't get that phone call done yesterday like we said we would. Slip us your phone number on a message, mate, a PM somewhere, and I'll give you a bell tomorrow morning. Okay. We'll talk about this new Spreaker site that month. And Mr. Snow, who is tuned in right now, he is the guy he's the guru. He's the guru that got me sorted. So, good luck. And David's just come in up there in sunny Newcastle. Good evening, mate. Yeah, I've got you. Yeah, Paul Snow, who is in. Paul is a veteran, 30-year veteran, PTSD sufferer himself. Paul found his way out of the darkness using music and poetry. You'll hear us talk a lot about Paul and his music over the lifetime of Veterans Radio Net, I hope. And now, just for the hell of it, because I can, if this works, and I'm using a new system to broadcast with here, and if anybody can turn Veterans Radio into Snafu Radio, it'll be me. This was coming up with a couple of pieces of that Paul has written. Okay, I'll be back shortly, folks. Anybody wants to get in touch with me, go to the website www.veteransradionet.com. You'll see all the means for getting in touch. But we've got Skype, we've got email, we've got Facebook, we've got text, we've got the telephone number. I still can't do telephone live yet. Paul, maybe you've got an idea on that, fella. But, I can take a call when the music's playing and I can talk about any topic you want to talk about, okay? Or your comments on the topic PTSD, I can pass on. All right, I'll be back shortly, folks. Enjoy this music.
In his eyes, no shoes on his feet, and he screams to a hostile world, what have I done? He walks alone with an empty stare, dressed in pain with blood in his hair, in a broken world that's ruled by the point of a gun. And the soldier wants to be back home again, and the sergeant shouts to get in line, just watch your back and you'll be fine, and you'll be a hero when the killing ends. Mother cries for a fallen son, he did his duty and his fun, and that's official, so the story goes. coffin shrouded with a flag, his picture in a local rag, and the rain pours down as the mourners lie in the road. And the soldier wants to be back home again. And the sergeant shouts to get in line, just watch your back and you'll be fine, and you'll be a hero when the killing ends. Sits in an empty bar, tries to drown the mental scars. Another day that seems to have no end. And then it's time to wander home and face his nightmares on his own. The veteran story has been told again. And the soldier wants to be back home again. And the sergeant shouts to get in line, just watch your back and you'll be fine, you'll be a hero when the killing ends. You shall be a hero when the killing ends. You shall be a hero when the killing ends.
Dogs of war, or brothers in arms, young men from cities, the valleys and farms, sworn to the crown and the country's peace, honour, pride and courage, the soldier's creed. The shilling is taken and the deal is struck, this code of honour, this game of luck. Pain's now his friend in so many ways, the soldier's burden for the rest of his days. Why go to war? A war without end. If not our heroes, then who do we send? Sentenced to hell in a war-torn land, dodging the reaper, hidden in the sand. But this isn't you, it's from centuries past, from bow and arrow to bullets and gas. But what are the lessons when our heroes return? In a flag-draped coffin, what did we learn? So we begin our journey on neighbouring shores. This one was called the War to End Wars. Trenches were dug and Tommies were slain. The First World War was all done in vain. From the first to the second, and a new kind of hell. A bully's in power, a country has fell. To Europe again they answered the call, young men gathered, all standing tall. On land and at sea the battles are fought, inch by inch their liberties bought. Then came the time of the Battle of Britain, defending our skies, our future was written. The tyrant had fallen and peace was restored. You never know, this could be the war to end wars. And for a while we thought it was true, as our heroes stayed home with nothing to do. But conflict still raged in far distant lands. Korea, South Africa, and then Vietnam. Cyprus and Turkey, and God only knows how the hell we still think we are friends and not foes. But then to the Cold War, political chess. A nuclear stalemate between East and the West. The hammer and sickle would not bend to the Star-Spangled Banner with no means to an end. The fear of destruction would not make them see the horrors of fallout that could so easily be. The end of mankind for a political cause, maybe that would be the war to end wars. But the wait was not long before violence returned, because in '69, innocents burned. In the Emerald Isle, the theatre was set, a land full of hatred, fear and regret. The ministers said we'd be home in December. How quick they forget, but how long we remember. We arrived as heroes, but the message got lost, as the price we paid wasn't worth the cost. Bricks and nails and bottles and sticks, with the odd petrol bomb thrown in with the mix. Kids line the streets and shout out abuse. These guns that we brandish are simply no use. A rebel song sang of green, white and gold, of a deep-rooted hatred of young through to old. No matter the threat, they must remain true. They swore their allegiance to red, white and blue. But what was the reason for this civil war? Was it religion or politics or just hate for the law? Whatever the reason, the blind led the blind, with the politicians and priests all standing behind. But while the war raged within our own land, fate was close by to deal its next hand. Ships and troops were rallied in panic to go fight a war in the South Atlantic. The task force arrived and the job began to liberate our people from an occupied land. But the altar of freedom came at a cost, and once again, lives were tragically lost. The desert was next to become the damned as war broke out in the Holy Land. Reactions were quick and the job was done, but yet again many had died at the point of a gun. And then back to Europe, but this time the East, to Bosnia and Kosovo, to ensure there was peace. Still the lessons of history had not been learned, as once again the innocent were banished and burned. Villages and roadsides were full of the dead, as ethnic cleansing stained the government red. But all our heroes could do was watch in vain, as a horror unfolded again and again. Then that was that, and peace was restored. Even in Ireland they were talking once more. Could it be that we were now finding peace? At last, all the killing and dying could finally cease. Then all of a sudden, Armageddon came, as the Twin Towers fell and war broke out again. But this time they faced a new kind of foe. Back to Iraq and Afghanistan our heroes would go. And there in that land they continue to fight, in a terrorist war with no end in sight. IEDs and ambushes, firefights and mines, and yet again we've ignored the danger signs. But they died for our freedom and our right to live, on land, sea and air, their lives they did give. Those that survive still live with the pain, reliving their nightmares again and again. So as we enter this time of remembrance, lest we forget the pain and the courage, the blood and the sweat. We owe so much, as Churchill once said. So as the last post ends, bow your heads and remember our dead. We will remember them.
But wars do not end when bullets stop flying. Wars do not end when soldiers stop dying. Wars carry on in the minds of the living. In the darkness of dreams, they're so unforgiving. The last song in that piece of poetry there by Paul Snow, are going to be part of the musical that Paul's putting together, A Song for a Hero. And they are very, very touching. Mate, you get me going every bloody time. That last verse is something I wrote while my